We are joined now by Senator Marco Rubio. Senator Rubio, first, thank you for joining our Operation Stormwatch coverage, helping keeping people informed over the past few days. It is appreciated. And obviously, we dodged a big bullet here in Florida and South Florida. As you assess the situation in the Bahamas, what are your thoughts and what do you make of where we are right now?
Well, it's clearly catastrophic. Obviously, we're still getting assessments. The United States has a mutual aid agreement, humanitarian agreement with the Bahamas, a very close partner. We'll work with them on a bunch of things throughout the year. And so that kicked in almost immediately. The Coast Guard was there. They took the Prime Minister up on one of the helicopters to get a quick survey. We don't have official numbers, but this is obviously that there's been a significant loss of life in the areas with this flooding, and there's still ongoing evictions. The Coast Guard is in charge of the immediate response, and then obviously the U.S. Agency for International Development, the USAID, has already kicked in for a component of it. So we're working through the consulate and the ambassador and the Bahamian government, but devastating. Obviously, the impact, the water damage in particular, is very prevalent.
Senator Rubio, we spoke yesterday with State Representative Chevron Jones from Broward, and he has family over there. He mentioned that he got in touch with a cousin. I understand that you had a conversation with him earlier today, I believe. How did your conversation with Representative Jones go?
Well, we talked yesterday and again this morning, and there's two things we're trying to work together on. Obviously, I'm trying to keep him up to date on the federal response. I know a lot of people are calling his office, so I want his staff to be up to date on what the federal government's doing, what we're learning on an hourly basis. And then the other thing we're working on here, and we're trying to get some path forward, is a visa waiver program for people that have been displaced, that have relatives living here, particularly in Florida, because right now the problem we're not going to have is not so much the visa. The Bahamas is a very low visa overstay rate, one of the lowest in the region, less than 2%. It is the fact that many of the people who've been displaced are also going to have a lost passports, identification, birth certificates, all kinds of vital documents that you need in order to be able to get someone. So that obviously will be on the Bahamian government to work with them very closely. I also spoke to the Consul General's office, to the ambassador. It's one of the things we're really focused on today, because we know that there are people with family there who have nowhere to live tonight, and they've got family living here just a few miles away. So we're trying to figure out the logistics of how to get that off the ground.
Have you been able to speak with the president or someone within the administration who can act on behalf of the people?
Yeah, obviously the State Department would play a key role, and part of it is our embassies in Nassau. So how do we get, for a visa to be issued, you got to get people, our people to them or them to us. And then the others will have to work closely with the Bahamian authorities to replace whatever documents, things have been lost. There's a lot of moving pieces here. We're just a few hours into it, and but that's what we're working on right now. We hope to have more clarity about it and give people on both sides of it to get the ball rolling.
Sure. And, obviously you're a South Florida native. You understand the lay of the land here well. The city of Miami, we're reaching out to the Trump administration to see what they could do with their first responders to respond. As far as you know, are those efforts where people are able and capable of helping, are we having a seamless transition to try to get those folks to the islands?
Yeah. So several of our teams here locally that do search and rescue and things of this nature are part of a federal joint task force, so they're federalized when these things happen. I think the challenge we're going to run into in the short term is we still have a domestic threat to the continental United States. This thing is rolling into South Carolina, North Carolina, and so there's some concern, and we don't really know what the impact's going to be in those areas yet. And so I think there's been a little bit of last night we had a search and rescue team from Miami-Dade County ready to go, and it was a little bit of a holdup, but it's not, they don't want to help the Bahamas. The storm hasn't finished its number that it's doing on the U.S., and so they're afraid to sort of let go of our assets that we may need here domestically. But we're working through that. The Coast Guard's already there, and I think one of the problems we're having, it's not even a problem, it's a good problem to have. You have a lot of people that want to help. Yeah. We want to make sure that we're providing the right help and that it's going to get there. Like I had to explain to people, you can't just get in your boat and go over there with a bunch of goods, and you're going to have trouble. Right. The Bahamians don't want that because they're not dealing right now with checking your passport. They're focused on search and rescue, things of that nature. So it's more than anything else, it's about helping to channel the aid that people want to give. A lot of people are dropping things off. We just got off the phone with one of the associations working with the Bahamian consulate. We need help logistically. We're looking to work with some of the retailers on their trucks because we've got to get all that material over to the port so we can get on containers or on airplanes to get over there when the airport and the port's open. So there's a lot going on, but a lot of people want to help. It's just a question of channeling it right.
And, Senator, just before Dorian was making its impact felt, even on the Bahamas, there had been a little bit of controversy over the Trump administration potentially allocating some FEMA money. They seem to suggest that there shouldn't be any concerns. Best that you're aware, any resources that FEMA needs to address the here and now, are those funds available?
Yeah, so FEMA always on disaster funds, like there's a fund that they use on an annual basis. And every major storm, those funds are depleted. That's why Congress has to pass these disaster aid packages, come in and go over the top of it. So there will be no shortage of funds for the immediate response. I think that the bigger challenge for Florida, which is what I was talking to the governor about last night and again this morning, is that that FEMA will, if the storm doesn't hit you, FEMA is only going to reimburse you for direct federal assistance. So if a county needs something and the state can't provide it, you go to FEMA and get directly from the federal government. Well, that's probably not going to happen here. But what we're concerned about is many of these counties are already owed me on reimbursement from 2 years ago. Right. And what we're worried about is that in the future, a county may say, well, I'm not going to do all this pre-storm prep because we don't have the money for it. We're not going to get reimbursed. So we're trying to work through that with the Trump administration. I've spoken to them already about it. They're trying to be helpful. FEMA is as well, in terms of how can we release some of that pre-storm preparation money reimbursed so that we don't discourage counties in the future from taking protective measures for the storm.
Our Senator, got about 30 seconds. Got one more question for you real quick. Fitzmagic or Rosen?
Look, you got to find out what you have in Rosen at some point this season. I'm all right with them starting the year because once you put them in, you can't take them out. That would be the guy's psyche. So they're going to use him in there, but he'll be starting at some point this year.
All right, so there you go. Senator Rubio saying choose a lane and stick with it. I appreciate it.